going to start within the applicant tracking system. All right. And when we get into this applicant tracking system, I've landed you on the main jobs page. And you can see that on the horizontal here going left to right at the top. So jobs is highlighted. On the jobs page, this is where you're going to see all of your open jobs, anything on hold, past jobs, and the like. Now, how do we get those jobs built and get them out into the marketplace? Let's cover that first. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to pick the method I want to create my job posting. We recommend you template your jobs to control versioning, and so that you can measure the effectiveness of your messaging. So I'm going to show you how to post a job quickly from a template. You're able to create your own templates and template that job posting itself. Now, very easy process. You just have 4 steps to go through. It's the easiest test you're ever going to take. You have all the answers and you've templated a lot of the information. So if you have a novice hiring manager, it takes a lot of the guesswork out. You're going to be able to specify where you're looking to recruit people. And then, because so many of us are working in remote areas, you can, do a surrounding zip code placement of this job so that it's easier to find. You can configure custom fields. You can identify to the system who's going to have permission to work with the job, work with the applicants. And then we'll get into step 2, which is the application details. I want to take a second on this. Unique to our system is you can build as many application templates as you would like. And so, for instance, for your unskilled laborers, if you just want to ask them for their contact information and their last job, that's as extensive as that apply process needs to be. Sure, you can add in screening and qualification questions, or maybe if you are advertising for a DOT truck driver, you can have a much lengthier apply process because of how detailed that application needs to be. But each application and the screening questions can be unique to the job itself. So it just brings more flexibility and ease of use for the people that are applying for those jobs. Next, we're going to get into the job distribution area. And so we are leveraging the top 4 sources that influence 80% of hires across all industries. All right, those are your company website. So there's an integration with your company website. It makes it very easy for you to put jobs up and automatically take them down without any IT, marketing, or website developer involvement. Number 2, the job boards, not just one job board, but as many as you can get your job out to, all right? You don't want to make it difficult to find your opportunity. Social media is the 3rd, and then the 4th being referral groups. Referral groups play a much heavier role in construction, which I alluded to earlier, but let's take a look at this job distribution step. So you're going to be able to indicate what career page you want to post that to, what job boards you want. These first job boards are free as part of your subscription. And then we built out integrations direct with other for-fee sites. So if you needed to get this out on ZipRecruiter, no problem. For $149, you can get it out onto, another 40 sites. Syndicating this to social media is simple in your news feeds, attaching it to your company page, and then building out those referral networks. It's worth mentioning, a referral network could be a list of your employees, could be faith-based organization, maybe a training organization, local community group that you work with in the area, or a training organization, which I said. What this will do is it allows you to build in your contacts for communication. So when you post this job and it goes to your website, to the job boards, to social, your message and job will also be delivered directly to your referral networks with the messaging and that job itself. So now they can help you in socializing that job. So just really, really simple, fast and easy, and we're able to push that out and then track the referrals that come back. Okay, if we wouldn't have talked through this, we would have had this job posted in 90 seconds, and it would have been out on many different destinations. Here, what you're seeing is an example of a hosted career page. So we have two options here. You can either link to a page that we host for you. And by the way, this is configured within our software. So you don't need any IT support for this. It's all drop and drag technology to get that fleshed out. If you don't want to link to a page we host, we can give you, just a simple HTML code to drop into whatever page you want the jobs to show up on. So if you see here, from current openings down to equipment sales in Plano, Texas, that is the widget. So we would just give you a little HTML code, you drop it into whatever page you want your jobs to show up on, and it's very fast and easy to implement. Okay, with the hosted career page though, you do have, search tools, you have a join our talent community widget that you can add. So if somebody visits your website and they don't see a job they qualify for, that's no problem. They can just indicate who they are, what they qualify for, and drop their resume right into your candidates pool. So that way you have people to source from in the future. All right, I'm just gonna go and we're gonna apply for this diesel technician's job. A lot of different ways to apply. So once I review the job, I just click the apply button. No username or password, okay? So we've eliminated that and made it very easy to fill out an application here. You can upload a resume, you can apply using third-party information, you can do manual entry as well. Now, remember earlier I said you can configure your own application, so the questions you ask, the order of those questions, what's required, what's not, all configurable by you. And that's unique by job. All right, I'm just going to upload a resume. In this instance, you don't need to watch me fill out the application. A resume can be a PDF document or a Word document. So, here's just a typical resume. Take a look at that. And now let's go ahead and just drag it and upload it into the system. Our parsing technology reads the resume and then fills out the entire application for the candidate. So very fast and easy, and takes a lot of the guesswork out. Now, required fields must be entered, so if we missed anything, it's not going to allow us to move forward in the apply process without completing all of those. All right, so next, I mentioned earlier, candidates pool. All past applicants or anyone that has come through your career page or that you've sourced directly and loaded into the system, they're searchable, all right? And you can search them by keyword. My preference is once I screen them the first time, I start labeling them. I start adding labels to indicate what their skills are. So it's just really easy for me to index these in the future. But all of the information is here for us. And if I did a keyword search, the system's gonna identify where it found my keyword, just again, making it fast and easy to zero in on the talent we're looking for. I mentioned labels. I really like labels. So this is just an example of the types of labels that you might apply to your candidates pool, but just by selecting a label, now all of a sudden I've got a list of all of those project engineers, and I can take action with those. I can email them, I can add them to a job, I can forward them to a hiring manager, and really start engaging those candidates. I like the let's take a play out of the sales marketing playbook. And even when I'm not recruiting, I like pushing out branded messages, even if it's, just a happy Easter or, happy Thanksgiving, or, hey, we just completed a great project, we won this award, we're recognizing our employee for longevity, growth, or leadership. That's the kind of stuff that candidates want to know and is going to separate you from the competition. So you can use that candidates pool as a CRM. We are back in the jobs list. We're going to go and look and work with an applicant for this diesel mechanics position. So when I go into the job, I can now see all of my applicants under the active bin and can start working with those candidates. These bubbles, you saw those in the candidate pool. They remain a focus here and allow you to stay right in one spot to see all of the information you need about those candidates. So no jumping around to locate resumes or whatnot. You can track all of your stages in the recruiting process and the and why you may be moving someone forward or disposing of them. So all very important. You can track historical notes from your discussions. We have bilateral email communication. So when you send a message out, it gets tracked. When a candidate responds, of course it goes into your email, but it would also be returned and tracked within the system under activity history. So really some great feature functionality that will help you in well, addressing these workforce challenges and putting in place a more systematic, measurable, repeatable, predictable process that will move the meter for you. All right, so we're ready to hire someone, and all we would do in the applicant tracking system is just indicate what position we're hiring them for, what location, and then what date they're starting. And the system would send out an email to that new hire, giving them their username and that welcome message that you've configured. They set up their own password, and then from there, they're going to be dropped into the onboarding system and start doing their paperwork. Now, when I sign in for the first time, I see a configured landing page for the company I'm joining. So you can put your own imagery here, video. If you wanted like a onboarding new hire checklist, you could drop that into documents. Maybe you wanted to provide them with your handbook, or they're doing this at home, so they'll be able to download it or print it or save it to their phone. I go to paperwork, and now I'm presented with a menu of forms and policies that I need to fill or read and acknowledge. Again, required fields will not allow me to submit a packet that's incomplete. So for those of you that are still doing this on paper, well, the challenge is this: it's hard to read their handwriting. You don't always get the data back that you want. You're not always getting the right forms completed or policies acknowledged. There's stuff missing. And then when it gets back to the office, well, now you got to go chase that worker out in the field potentially. So we button that up just by permission, or excuse me, by requiring the right data be entered. We also help them track their progress. So as they complete, as the new hire completes each step, gray turns to blue and then indicates where they're at in the process. This page just demonstrates you can put up to 30 configurable fields if you wanted to collect additional information, multi-select, date fields, drop down, yes, no, true, false, right? And I just picked a couple: t-shirt size, favorite ice cream treat for your birthday, and the like, but you can configure those yourself. The voluntary survey, anytime the Department of Labor changes the voluntary survey, we're going to update that for you. So this is either on or it's off, and then we're always delivering the right information. Same thing with I-9, federal and state W-4. We are presenting the most up-to-date information always, so you're serving up the right forms to your new hires. The W-4s, federal and state, can be pre-populated with the data we've already collected, so the new hire doesn't have to type their name 100 times. The I-9, I cannot do that. We can't pre-populate that, so that's the only additional form, pre-configured form that they're going to need to add in duplicate information. The direct deposit, well, let's look at the state W-4. We're highlighting what fields we need them to complete. Again, drawing their eye to the right areas and ensuring that we get the right data back from the new hire. Direct deposit can be configured up to 5 direct deposits, bank accounts, or pay cards, and will transfer over whole dollar amounts or percent of pay if we're using multiple direct deposit accounts. We're also providing the new hire with a guide to show them routing number, bank account. I don't know about you, but I haven't looked at a check in a while. And then we do validate the routing number as an actual bank, so we're trying to help them as much as we can there. Something we do unique in our onboarding process is we have a partnership with Claris. Claris is our work opportunity tax credit specialist. And if you're not screening for work opportunity tax credits, you could be leaving money on the table. This is an opportunity for you to earn, I know for just hiring an unemployed veteran, up to $9,600 from the Fed. So it's something that we can configure on or off for you if you would like, but you know, we do all the filing and you just reap the rewards. Policies, the way this works is you're going to present all your policies. The new hire is going to need to go in, review each policy, and then at the bottom, they'll need to click the acknowledge button to date and timestamp their acceptance of that policy. There's no click, click, click. You can't just accept them all without looking at it, and we do give them the ability to download or print. If some of you are missing a form, like I haven't shown you something, we can build you custom forms, and that's the additional forms area. All right, now I fast forwarded, and now the menu's all blue, all the data's been collected, and now it's time for the new hire to sign their paperwork. They're just going to use the username and password that they created that will validate their identity. And from there, we're going to allow them to electronically sign all their documents, date and time stamping each. So really simple process, just click to sign to get that all wrapped up. Okay, so where we're going to go next is we're going to go into the new hire dashboard. Okay, when we're in the new hire dashboard, this is where you're going to be managing all of your incomplete, complete new hires and all of their forms. So now that I've signed off as an employee on my section of the paperwork, my hiring manager has been notified that I've completed my paperwork. I've shown up for my first day of work, or maybe I was doing this in the office or on the job site. Well, now it's time to complete section 2 of the I-9. So I'm able to go in as a hiring manager if I'm authorized and complete that new hire paperwork. Again, my username and password is unique to me, so that will represent my online identity and allow me to go ahead and start completing section 2 of the I-9. If at that point I'm being presented with the employee's physical documents, but for those that are inexperienced, if I've got a sample I can show, I will, just so they see where to grab the right data off of which form and populate it into section 2 of the I-9. So we're either getting a list A document or a list B, C document and moving forward with the collection of that data. You can also put up to 30 configurable fields in this area for your hiring manager, creating almost a checklist to make sure that they've done everything they need to when onboarding this person. And then it's now their turn to electronically sign the I-9 or any other forms that need signature. So just the same click to sign process validated by their username and password. And then if you're doing E-Verify, we do have an integration with E-Verify. I can give you on-screen confirmation or tentative non-confirmation. All right, there is a library of documents that you will use to manage all of your paperwork. If you are on Viewpoint Spectrum, unique to Viewpoint Spectrum that isn't done with any other accounting systems out there, it's a really great solution, is we can not only move the data over into Spectrum, we can also drop the forms that have been collected into the correct drawers within document imaging. This is just a representation now of the data, mapping of the data between Arcoro and Spectrum. And I guess, you know, Paul, what are your thoughts on this area? You want to talk a little bit about how this works?
Yeah, no, I mean, we just wanted to bring this up. I mean, if you guys, well, you did indicate earlier in your survey, right? If you're onboarding a new person, you're manually banging all this kind of data into your accounting system. So the beauty of this is using the Arcoro HR onboarding system is, you know, with the candidate's participation in completing this data online and it being electronically reviewed and approved, that whole list of data that Bryan had on the screen is data you now don't have to enter into your accounting system. It automatically populates into Spectrum. You can go to the next screen. Into these screens, these are screens in Spectrum where that data would flow into your, you know, Viewpoint Spectrum job cost system, so that it's there for you to use to manage your employee going forward without having to have entered that information directly into the system.
Yeah, and I might just add, Paul, another unique feature with Spectrum is you can set up a little desktop app, a widget, and we send all new hires in an inactive status. We use the status of N for inactive. It's typically not utilized by Spectrum customers. And so you can set that desktop widget up to identify any employees with that status of N, and allows payroll to go in and validate these screens that you're seeing here. The main employee setup, the personal info setup, the pay rates, the tax setup, the direct deposits. They can validate the data moved over properly before they activate the new hire to be paid. So just another little thing that we do, or Spectrum does, to make this integration really work great.
Right. And if we have people on the call that don't have Spectrum, then we can do this with several other ERP systems as well. But, you know, we're trying to highlight Spectrum today.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Well, speaking of Spectrum, so Marathon Electric, this testimonial, you know, hearing back from customers makes it all worth the while for me. Len Clark is the recruiter at Marathon Electric. He spent the last couple of years driving to job sites and onboarding new hires with paper packets and data entry. Okay, and this is no small company. I mean, they hire you know, about 500-600 people a year. They've got about 1,400 employees. So not only have we reduced his costs and time and the paper, right, the whole process is giving him more time back in his day to tackle more important workforce challenges. So I really like that testimonial. All right, so what have you seen today? Well,
hey, Brian, before you go further, I just want to point out, I mean, Marathon's a great example of a large company. But I think, you know, for small to mid-sized companies, this kind of technology is even more important than it is for the big companies, because big companies can afford sometimes to throw a lot of bodies at stuff, whereas a small company or a mid-sized company, they can't afford that extra overhead to manage payroll or HR. So I think having technology in place for a small to mid-sized company really helps them stay thin and be more effective without having to add a lot of bodies.
That's a great point. Absolutely. Well, what you saw today is, you know, if we're tackling the pre-hire process with applicant tracking and onboarding. So the automation of these processes allows your team to focus on the issue rather than the mechanics of HR. Okay, why aren't we hiring the right people? Let's go out and build relationships rather than I got to go post an ad to this website and to that website, and I need to get an ad in the paper or this, that, and the other. I got to collect all that stuff that could be done by the system and allow your team to really work on relationship building, branding, and the overall workforce issue. Our solution, just by design, increases your scale and reach so that you can promote your job and your brand, your image, out through multiple sources that influence a hire. Okay, and that scale will help you find more candidates to choose from. Of course, the whole process is reducing paper and time-intensive tasks and data entry. Most importantly, on the onboarding side, it's reducing compliance risk. If you're missing data, right, people aren't getting paid. If you're missing federal forms, we are at risk should we come under an audit or review. If we're not getting policies reviewed and signed off on, and our employees don't understand their expectations, more risk and liability for us. So that's what all of this is doing, is just tightening that all up, in addition to really securing and bolting down all of that personal information, so it's not floating around on paper and in the view of people that shouldn't see it. All right, this has been a lot of fun.